cold?
Yeah.
It's pretty cold. Let's sign after this. Alright, so kind of scooch over a little bit. We got our camera person there, so we're gonna set it up. Alright, Professor Judges, I present to you our last team of this round. This is Ottawa University, Arizona. The judges, as you can see, have the secret question, and the floor is yours. Your time begins now.
Alright, so, I mean, if I could ask you, would you read out the question, please?
I can do that. Should developed nations allow high net worth individuals to jump the line and essentially purchase citizenship through citizenship by investment programs?
Right, so regarding this policy, unanimously we've agreed that, in our opinion, this can, in short term, it could really boost the country's economy. However, if you think about it in the long term, it doesn't really solve any issue, as in the long term it would rather create a pretty polarized society, a pretty polarized country, and I mean this high income population would only be like 5% of our population, which is a very niche, and this in the short term would obviously boost our economy, as there's going to be a lot of people a lot of high income people who are going to come in and they're going to get taxed on their high income. However, in the long term, this would create a very polarized society where the middle class would get diminished and all these lower class jobs would not be a desirable opportunity for people to come to the United States and pursue it, as they would get paid much more over here as they would in their host, like in their original country, you know. Another thing is that it's a very discriminatory measure in our opinion. I mean, this is only a very niche a very niche segment of our society that would have this opportunity, and that would leave out the other 90% of the whole world that doesn't even get a chance or will never get a chance to take advantage of this. And we think that it's not a proper screening process for you to enter the country, as anybody could have $5 million, you know, or whatever, like what you ask for somebody to get a green card, and it doesn't really, it wouldn't stop criminals or whatever, because criminals can have $5 million, terrorist organization can finance somebody and they're going to get, this is a very easy like little gate that people can take advantage of, I think, which is it's a security issue as well. I think it would create a security issue. Right. Anybody else? Right, that's our main idea. I mean, to explain further, I think in the short term, as I said, the economic impact would be the most predominant benefit from this policy, as these high-income people would come to the United States. Obviously, they would continue working their high-income jobs, and on their high-income jobs, they're going to get taxed. It's going to be taken into the United States Treasury, right? After, however, if you think about it in the long term, you know, polarization would be created, because there is going to be this rich influx. There's going to be the influx of this rich people coming into the country, and it might oversaturate the jobs of lawyers, doctors, bankers, etc., etc. You know, that would require somebody who's, I mean, you would suppose that if you come in as a high income, you have the income, you have the amount of resources to buy this, then obviously you would be working a high income job. Then you come to the United States or wherever, you already have your green card, and you continue working the job.
Yes,
but
and if I could add on, he was saying that they would cause an oversaturation, and if we think about that, then that's going to essentially leave other countries, you know, more susceptible to poverty, and we won't have as many doctors or lawyers, because everyone is going to want to be going to the most economically stable country, and that might create issues for other countries, and therefore probably increasing illegal immigration, because then yet again all the rich people are getting in, right, or those high net worth individuals, yet those at the bottom can't afford that. So what other option do they have when they don't have that money, that payment, that same opportunity as those other individuals to come into the country? Therefore, they have to seek illegal means and come into the country. And then what does that leave in terms of like the world economics? Because what do other countries have to contribute when everything is oversaturated and located in one place?
Also, I think this wouldn't really, if you think about it regarding immigration, that's one of the reasons why it really would not solve any issue in the long term, because immigration has been or migration in general has been a thing predating civilization, right? I mean, people go from one place to another, and I think that trying to put measures like this that could limit this or stop this wouldn't actually solve the issue. However, it would create an even bigger issue, as this would raise the implications of more people trying to do it illegally rather than legally, as not many, as I said, it's a very niche amount of people, a niche section of our population that can even afford to take advantage of this opportunity.
That's right.
Well, if we consider also like the emotional aspect of it, from a real life personal example, my dad has been waiting for his citizenship since I was in 7th grade, and I am now going to be a senior in college. So, you know, you do the math. If you really think about it, yes, I understand, you know, again, the economic side of it, it is going to contribute of these high income individuals coming in, spending their money, but you also have to think about those people that are either coming without that or coming illegally. They still contribute in some shape or form of, when they buy groceries, there's taxes there. It might not be physical, like can't go fill out taxes, you know, but it's still in there, and it's not fair to diminish the size of the possibility for individuals to reach out to that. And again, like for example, I know not everybody, but in my case, you know, if that didn't happen, I would not be here. I would not be able to say, oh, I'm a first generation that's able to come and feel proud to say that, look, I did it, and I was able, no matter how hard the path is, that other students should also want to do that too, and it shouldn't be at the cost of their dreams just because of if they have the money or not. They should be able to apply the process, and it should be fair to everybody. Like he mentioned, oh, anybody can have, I don't know if it costs $5,000, anybody can pull that out of nowhere, and it's not fair to say, you know, jump the line. What about the process? What about the screening? What about every other thing that goes into it? You also would have to consider that.
So as a team, we would say that we don't agree with that.
To conclude, it's not the desirable policy that could solve the issue of immigration, in our opinion.
Any questions?
Yes.
From a political standpoint, how do you think we should, if there's a program, CBI, how should we screen it? Because you mentioned about short-term and long-term. Would that be another economic factor included? Maybe we should set a standard very high, or just very low so everybody can come in. So what would be the best policy?
In my opinion, there is definitely it's a hard line to draw, but I think from my point of view, there is a fine line where there's obviously going to be criminals who are trying to come into the country for certain reasons, and there's always going to be everybody else, obviously, who's trying to come in as maybe they are refugees, right? Maybe they seek a better opportunity than what they have back at home. Maybe, as it was, they're pursuing the American dream, as it used to be. I think the screening process really ends up on as it is on, as I've got my visa, as my friend Ognjen's got his visa, you know, we all had to go to the consulate where we were interviewed, where we paid a certain amount of money, so it all could have happened, but it's obviously not as straightforward as the policy would have suggested, that you pay the amount of money and that's it, you know. Rather than that, there is a very intricate screening technique. I mean, we hand in all our papers from behind, our birth certificate, they do background check on us. I mean, I was warned before I would even do anything. When I called the consulate, they told me, obviously, watch out for speeding ticket, watch out for anything that could be a factor that influences your eligibility, whether or not you're going to be accepted to come to the United States to study, to work, to do whatever you want, or you're not going to let in, not going to be let in. And I think that this is the screening technique that's more efficient, and it's more secure, after all.
And if I could add on, I also agree that it should be more minimal in terms of like if we were to have a program like that, it shouldn't be like having to pay crazy amounts of money, because then that makes it more attainable to more middle class. And especially here in the United States, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but our middle class is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, like every so couple of years. And so I feel like essentially that would help our middle class grow, and it wouldn't create such a big gap, and therefore preventing such issues like I mentioned before, where we have an oversaturation of like high net worth individuals, or like highly skilled individuals just located in one sole country.
So you make the argument that it's not fair for wealthy individuals to skip the line with their money. What if I made the argument that it's not fair that Elon Musk gets to buy a yacht and a private plane because he has more money than I do? What would you say as a counter argument to that? Are they the same? Are they different? And how so?
I would say that that's pretty different in the sense of you know, like that it's a boat, it's a hobby, I guess you could say. And when it comes to terms of coming into a new country and you know having all this money, it's either if you open a business, you're not only creating job opportunities for others, not only are you contributing to the economy. Yes, buying a yacht will contribute to the economy, but it's like you're personal, you know what I mean? And if you are opening your doors to a new country, there's a lot more of endless possibilities that you could do than if someone was, he bought a yacht and I couldn't. Well, you know, then maybe you work harder and buy the yacht. But if it's like citizenship, it's different things. Whatever you will bring to the table to essentially open doors for other people as well.
Right, in my opinion, I agree. It's I think the difference between this and obviously you not having the right to buy a yacht, right? So I think that this is about, that's a conversation about wealth and about money, but this is more about, in my point of view, this is more a conversation about our equal right to have the opportunity. You know, that's everybody deserves to have the equal opportunity. That's the desirable for everybody. I mean, this is limiting somebody's human rights, in my opinion, to be able to come here and be able to live a prosperous life. You don't know if there's going to be this guy from Mexico coming in who has been working physical labor for the past 20 years of his life. Maybe he comes here to the United States and maybe he goes on to Shark Tank, has a crazy idea and is going to make millions of dollars, and then the government is going to make millions of dollars off of him. But I mean, that's obviously a more risky in terms of government than getting somebody inside from Switzerland, for example, who is a banker making millions of Swiss francs a year and is going to come to the United States, get a green card, and is going to contribute 100%. But this is the risk that you have to take if you want to live in a libertarian world where everybody deserves a free right and the equal opportunity to achieve something, which is what the United States was supposed to be about.
We have a little less than a minute if you guys want to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.